Inside this box is something that I never thought I'd ever get to try, and to be honest, I never thought it would be accessible to consumers. But it's an exoskeleton. These are designed to help me run quicker, run faster, carry more weight. Now, if we put aside our preconceptions that this is something from futuristic day after tomorrow Matrix bollocks, this actually has some really interesting real-world applications. But do they actually work? Because on paper, they are supposed to make you go a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, use less energy. But does that actually translate when you're wearing them? So I'm going to put them on, we're going to go for a little walk, and I'm going to share my experience with you. But first, I'm going to put them on, and they are a bit complicated. They do come in this nice box though. Carry them. Right. Okay. Okay. It goes around my waist like that. This might require some reading of the instructions here. Where's the fat setting? Okay, so this adjusts. I don't want to say it, but I might have put on some weight recently. Afternoon. Yeah, just don't mind me at all. Don't mind me at all. Just doing some filming. This is an exoskeleton.
A what?
It's an exoskeleton. Say hello to the camera.
Hello.
It's an exoskeleton. So you strap it to your legs and it moves your legs for you.
Does it?
Supposedly.
Oh, no.
I'm just changing the size to fat setting though, so, you know, because Christmas has not been kind to me. He's gone now. Stuff I do in public, good grief. I must look like an absolute lunatic in the middle of the bloody countryside, strapping this to me leg. After struggling for a while, I decided the most sensible thing to do would be to follow the instructions in the app, which gives you a super handy setup and calibration process the first time you turn it on, making you familiar with the exoskeleton and how it all works. Naturally, let's put it on the highest possible setting. Oh, Jesus! Oh my God! It's throwing my legs! Oh my God! What on earth? This is wild. Honestly, I feel like I could sprint 100 miles an hour. This thing, the arms themselves are pulling my legs up as I move them up. I'm not really putting any effort in at all. That is the weirdest sensation. Let's go and have some fun. Whilst I go for a walk, let's go through exactly how the Hypershell exoskeleton works. In a nutshell, each leg features individual electric motors to assist lifting the leg and to push the leg forward. It does this with the ergonomic leg braces that attach to your lower thigh with the adjustable straps and clips. The motors for these are attached to the waist belt section, so as a whole, the mechanism essentially acts like a secondary hip movement, reinforcing your existing muscle and skeletal structure and allowing you to move quicker, easier and faster. It's got a ton of adjustability in the straps that help tighten everything, and the frame features a quick release style mechanism to increase or decrease the width of support. The padding is supportive and molds to your shape too, making it feel very comfortable when on and no more different than wearing the belt strap of a hiking rucksack. At only 2 kilograms, the Pro X model that I'm testing today doesn't add a great deal of physical weight, but it gives you, according to Hypershell, up to a 30% reduction in physical exertion. Its peak power output is 800 watts with peak torque for a single motor at 32 Newton meters, or in real money, it gives you around 1 horsepower extra. Now that might not seem like a lot, but when you realise that a healthy human is capable of just 1.2 horsepower, and that's just for a short burst, this additional horsepower seems like a much bigger upgrade than you might have thought. On paper, this is a crazy technology, and even in just this form, it starts to paint a picture of a future where humans can achieve incredible things, freedom to break down the common conceptions of what's possible, a future where anyone with any skill level and of any motor ability has the freedom to tackle any physical activity they want to, whilst breaking records previously only achievable by athletes. But the real question is, does it live up to that hype? Does the Hypershell deliver on the promises it makes? And does it meet the expectations I have for what an exoskeleton should be? But most importantly, has it helped my slightly overweight, particularly unhealthy, aches and pains ridden 100 kilograms, 6'8" body get to the top of this mountain without having a heart attack?
Here we are at the top of the mountain, and just look at that view. But we're not here to look at the view, we're here to talk about the Hypershell exoskeleton. And my God, this thing has performed way better than I thought it would do. I genuinely didn't know what to expect. But I've come up all the way from down there, and I'm not out of breath. And that's saying something considering how unhealthy I am at the moment. These things offer a new lease of life, not just for people who are slightly overweight and have eaten too much at Christmas, but for people with medical issues, problems with their legs, mobility issues. I think the real world application of these goes far beyond just some tech reviewer on YouTube wanting to sprint up a side of a mountain. So what I want to do is I'm going to take some time to have a think about these, and we'll see you back in the studio for a further discussion. I'll see you back down there.
Now that we're back in the studio, and I've since worn it on several walks, from walking the dog to short hikes through the countryside, I've certainly got a lot to say about this device. And the first thing is that it's capable of so much more than just hiking support. It features a reactive AI that tries to understand the type of exercise or movement that you're currently doing and then reacts to that by adjusting it in a way that it helps you. So for example, just walking, it changes the force of its movements to be slightly lower, and it adapts to your particular cadence and matches your walking gait. Then, if you suddenly start to sprint, it adapts to that in an instant and starts supporting you by matching the increased cadence and length of your strides. It can adapt depending on whether you're walking or running, but further than this, it can adapt if you're walking or running uphill, giving you more power and range of movement when you're bringing your knees up to the highest to hoist yourself up. It's also got a downhill mode and downstair mode too, which supports your movements and takes some of the jarring weight off going downhill sections. It even has a gravel road setting, which I'm not 100% certain what that actually does. Perhaps deals with irregularities more. I'm not 100%. But the last thing it can do is be used for cycling. Now, all of these modes are auto-adapted by default, although within the app you're able to change this with a manual selection. I will say that I can notice the difference between running and walking and uphill related modes. Those seem to be a big difference. For me, the downhill and gravel road settings were less noticeable for being different, but still offered some support. That said, I think most people will leave this on auto mode because the AI seems to do such a good job at understanding your movements and adapting to the type of assist to that type of activity. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can change the power of this assist. There's actually two different modes, an eco mode and a hyper mode. And within these, you can fine tune the assist between low to high to find the right setting for you. With me having a dad bod, I left it on hyper mode for the majority of testing to get the most out of the support that this thing can give you. And I must say the difference is quite spectacular. In eco mode, it's more of a softer assist, and in hyper mode, on the max setting, it feels almost like it's moving your legs for you. The only downside to the hyper mode is the battery life. On the eco mode, on relatively flat ground, Hypershell suggests that you'll get a range of around or just shy of 11 miles. On hyper mode and on max power and walking quickly up inclines, this significantly reduces. I'd say that you'll get about a third of that quoted range from a full battery, which is just about enough thereabouts for a full trip up England's highest mountain. For longer mountain hikes, such as the UK's highest mountain, which is around a 10-mile hike, you'll likely need to take a second battery if you wanted the extra support coming back down. And because the batteries are hot swappable and the Pro X model, which is this one, comes with 2 batteries, it's very likely that you'll have a spare with you. All you do is press the little button on the back here and pull the battery off like so and put the new one in. But ultimately, how long a battery will last is very dependent on the variables, the angle of climb, the mode you've got it on, even the temperature will change the range capabilities. And actually, on that note, the Pro X model and the Carbon X, the one above this, which is a smidgen lighter, but both of those come with anti-cold temperature batteries, which lets you use the device in colder temperatures as low as -20. The standard version, the Go X, only comes with a single standard battery that's rated for operation down to -10. So if you're a snow lover, you'll want to stick with the Pro or the Carbon models to make sure it works optimally. Now, the device itself can display the current battery life on the LED display on the side. But if you want a more in-depth control and visual indication of the device status, the app is the place to be, because it shows the current battery percentage, it shows you the depreciation over the day so that you can see what's used the most energy in your walk. It can even show you the range left of the harness. So basically, it turns your legs into an EV. But it also shows things like the current statistics, such as speed and distance, along with historic day-by-day information. And if you want more advanced control of the device, you can go into the setting, into the motor engine settings, to actually change the assistance adaptation speed and the torque distribution of the motors too. Now, what this means is that you can shift all of the assistance to just one leg, which is great for those who might want to use this to compensate for a lack of motor skills or movement issues in perhaps just one leg. Now, when it comes to helping people with movement and mobility issues, I think it's really important to say here what it can't do as much as what it can do. And what it can't do is take over your movement completely. You're still the one in control here, and you've still got to be able to walk or move for this to offer assistance. In other words, it supports your regular movement rather than replacing it. It's not Jesus, it won't suddenly be able to make paralysed people walk again. But could it aid people with mobility issues? Well, this is where I think it goes beyond the fun element of supporting a middle-aged, rapidly balding man hike up the side of a mountain. Because I do think that put some emphasis on here, the right individual, it could absolutely offer a new lease of life. Perhaps you're recovering from an injury, or perhaps you've got muscle weakness relating to your leg movement, or perhaps you're quite simply a bit faster than you used to be, or a bit older than you used to be, and you're not quite as agile. Well, the Hypershell could do absolute wonders for you. But I think that if you feel like you need support, then ultimately it's worth a go. If it were me and I had some mobility issues that weren't related to overeating at Christmas, then I'd absolutely give this sort of tech a chance. And really, trying it is the only way you'll know if something like this can assist you if you have mobility issues. But if it can, then I think this type of thing available in the consumer's hands is priceless. But should you get this kind of thing if you don't need support? Well, it's like anything. This will enhance your ability, whether you're at the absolute bottom or the top of athletic charts. I mean, Hypershell say this supports movement as fast as 12.4 miles per hour, which, okay, might not be sprint speed for trained athletes. It's absolutely faster than most are able to sustain over long distance. I had a quick look at the world's records, and supposedly the fastest marathon ever run averaged only 13.2 miles per hour. So even for runners, hikers, and experienced athletes, the Hypershell Pro X will still offer additional boost in efficiency and power output, which is incredible. Now, another reason it's good for athletes, though, is the fitness mode. This does the exact opposite of the other two modes and adds resistance to your movement. Now, the first time I did this, I put it on 100% resistance, and my God, it feels like you're walking through quicksand, like you were suddenly just up to the gravity of Earth. I can imagine for those who are in training, this is a fantastic fitness aid to improve your leg strength whilst not in the Hypershell. So it's actually got function beyond just assisting you to move. Honestly, this thing is one step away from giving us superpowers. And I must say that I've loved testing it far more than I thought I would. That said, I think there are a few things that Hypershell could do to improve the user experience, and it really revolves, for me, around the battery. The first thing is that the batteries aren't chargeable unless they're plugged in to the Hypershell frame. Now, this isn't ideal. For starters, if you have the Pro or Carbon models, it means that you can only charge one of the included batteries at a time. And it also means that if you're on a camping or walking adventure and decides to stop at a pub for a pint and some food along the way, you'll have to bring the whole exoskeleton with you just to charge it. So either you'll have to have it dangling around loosely underneath the table as it charges, or plug it in to yourself whilst you're wearing it, and then be forced to tell every single drunk reveller as they stun by what in God's name you're doing with a cable seemingly shoved somewhere the sun doesn't shine. Hypershell do sell a 4-port charging hub to charge multiple batteries at a time, ideal for couples who perhaps have 2 batteries each. This still, however, is an extra in respect to money, but also an extra in terms of additional kit and weight you'd need to carry if you wanted to charge everything at the same time. I think a better way of doing this would have been to have had the USB-C charging port on the batteries themselves to allow me to disconnect them to charge, and that would have allowed me as well to charge both batteries at the same time. But also, another thing that I'm not a fan of is that you can't easily hot swap the batteries whilst you're wearing it. Technically you can, but it's right in the middle of your lower back and a right faff when you can't actually see what you're doing and your hands are cold and you can't find the button and so on and so on. So really the only proper way of changing the battery is by removing the whole exoskeleton. Had the battery been in a more accessible location, then you could have just whipped the spent one out and then put the fully charged one back in and carried on. Now, I appreciate the reason for the battery being positioned where it is all about comfort, because it loads the heavy weight in the back of the centre and it is remarkably comfortable. I mean, you can't even tell you're wearing it sometimes. But perhaps maybe a better idea would have had to been 2 separate batteries either side, kind of like a gun holster, so you can pull them out and change them. Now, the only other feedback I have is that the motors themselves can get quite warm when on maximum power setting. You don't notice it on you, you can't feel them on you, but if you go and touch the motors, it can be a bit of a shock to how warm they can get on the hyper max power mode. Now, I've only found this really happens on that hyper mode and on max power, and it happens more so if you wear the Hypershell underneath the coat, which really I don't think you're meant to. So for those that were hoping to potentially hide this crazy techno legs with a long parka, forget that idea because you'll have to be loud and proud about it. Since filming this episode, Hypershell have released a firmware update to prevent it getting too hot. So this shouldn't happen in future, and it's great to see the commitment here from Hypershell in creating a real polished experience. But aside from those couple of things, I do think this is a really polished product for an early generation device. Everything feels rugged and well built, and despite the battery, it has some really good bits of design on it. And the app is extremely well polished as well. Joe, I can't begin to accurately convey how hyped I am about this product. I know that on screen it doesn't really look like much. I'm not flying through the air or launching trees with a single kick. So it does look slightly underwhelming, but like I said right at the start, it's not some kind of mech suit from a sci-fi movie. What it is, I think, is amazing. I want to say again that I never expected anything like this to be in the consumer market. Hypershell have introduced me to something here that has excited and delighted me, and everyone who I've let have a go of this have been just as amazed. It's that initial go where it suddenly makes your legs feel like they weigh absolutely nothing and they start moving your legs as you run. Every single person runs off with a smile plastered to their face. It's one of those rare pieces of technology that just simply delights and offers a glimpse into the future, and I can get behind that 100%. Sure, It's quite niche, and without a doubt, it looks particularly unusual, demonstrated by the man coming up at the very start in the first 10 seconds of me putting it on.
It's an exoskeleton, so you strap it to your legs and it moves your legs for you.
Does it?
It's particularly strange, and without a doubt, there will be a lot of people that might think this sort of thing is, well, cheating. But I don't care. Get off your high horse that you're probably on, because I'm guessing you think that cars are cheating too. So you must still have a horse. Right? Now that I've tasted the possibilities with a piece of technology like this, I want to use it more and more. These definitely aren't the wrong trousers. They're the right ones. And it's genuinely felt liberating to be able to move and feel like I have the same levels of energy and power that I had when I was 18. But what do you guys think? Is this a powered step too far? Will we all start craving the strength and security of steel over the weakness of our own flesh? Or do you think this is a technology that's not meant to be in the hands of the general consumer? Let me know your comments or your thoughts in the comments below. And if you do want to check out the Hypershell exoskeleton range, I will drop a link in the description so you can find out more about them. But other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If climbing up a mountain isn't worth a like and subscribe, I don't know what is, but please do hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.